One of the main selling points for a smartphone a decade ago was the fact that these were communicators. It was really the first time that the internet walked with you 24/7, and at the top of the food chain was BlackBerry. This alone became so viral that we even had names for people that became addicted to their BlackBerries. It's the main reason why I've carried two phones ever since, even if the BlackBerry got replaced shortly after BlackBerry 10 did its damage. What's funny is that today we don't communicate any less, as smartphones have become more essential, and yet using them for communication has become more cumbersome the larger they become for the sake of content consumption. So, guess who wants to change that one more time? You guessed it. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and this is our review of the BlackBerry Key 1. So what things are essential for a communicator? First, it has to be easy to handle since you will be handling it a lot. And second, it has to last all day no matter what. The BlackBerry Key 1 is actually both, even if taking a step away from your standard Android smartphone. It's built of a sturdy aluminum that's met with grippy texture at the back and a mix of curves and flat finishes at the top and bottom. At a glance, it is definitely unlike any smartphone in the market today, and it doesn't feel like any smartphone in the market either. At 149 millimeters in height, 72 in width, 9.5 in thickness, and 180 grams in weight, the Key 1 isn't out to win any thin and light contest. On the contrary, the grippy texture at the back hints to a device meant to achieve its first goal, as it is definitely quite comfortable in the hand. To achieve the second goal, the Key 1 pulls on some inspiration from its legacy. The added thickness is most likely to house its large 3505 mAh battery. Its choice of internals are also more in line with that of a premium mid-ranger, given the added power efficiency of the Snapdragon 625 processor, since, again, this device values endurance more than content consumption. Its display is actually just a hair smaller than your standard iPhone 7 at 4.5 inches and brings the same IPS LCD technology at 3:2 aspect ratio. Color accuracy is great, with decent blacks, and it's also efficient enough to bring an ambient display with your notifications. Below it, we also have the famous BlackBerry QWERTY keyboard. From the fingerprint scanner on the spacebar to the capacitive navigation gestures provided by the keyboard, the visual combination of everything is quite striking and elegant from a distance. Bottom line, as for the second goal, my week of testing has proven the battery to be quite epic. My first couple of tests allowed me to go for 2 days without a charge, and bear in mind, my job is to use a phone pretty much all day. One of the key ingredients to achieve this great endurance is the inclusion of Android 7.1.1, as close to stock as possible. And I say as close to stock because visually it is, but it is very loaded with a ton of tools to help you communicate more efficiently. For starters, the launcher allows widgets, but you kinda don't need them. If you see 3 dots at the bottom of any app icon, swipe it up or down to reveal the application's widget, and you can actually switch it depending on how many are available. And if you still want regular widgets, you can find these in the app tray, in addition to a third tab for programmable shortcuts. And speaking of shortcuts, you can either press or long press any keyboard element to launch an extra one, for a total of 56 shortcuts. Though these, for some reason, only seem to work on the home screen, at least for now. The only one that really works all the time, at least at the time of this review, is the one you set at the convenience key, which is at the right. I've actually disabled the short press shortcuts, since I find it more convenient to just start typing and have the Key 1 perform a device search, even if it's quite laggy right now. The BlackBerry Hub continues to play a major role on this phone, as the one place you come to receive all your communication, instead of needing to fumble from one app to the next. This is definitely my favorite feature, as you can be selective of which accounts fall on the Hub. I just wish that Gmail integration was better, at least in figuring out ways to archive email by simply swiping and not requiring an extra action to select the folder. And then to complement the hub, the productivity tab at the right allows you to view your day from any screen and act on specifics within it. I'm sad to report though that BBM is dead. Like seriously, the last time that any of my old contacts was seen online was 2 years ago. It's really sad to see this great platform just die. And then there is everything else, which pretty much looks like stock Android, and where the Pixel is mimicked in most things, like for example how notifications are portrayed on the ambient display, and the launch of the Google Assistant by pressing and holding the home button. Missing though are essentials like the blue light filter, which are not found at least on this version that I'm currently using. Now, all this bevy of custom software doesn't seem to like the limited spec sheet. I wouldn't call performance sluggish, but there is the occasional stutter when launching applications or navigating within them. And then ideas like typing a search from the home screen are great selling points for a persistent keyboard. But as I mentioned earlier, the lag can really hinder the experience, as you can't really tell what the phone is doing whenever you start typing, and then you have to wait for your response. And as for that persistent keyboard, there are elements to love and a sort of a wish list on my behalf. I find it genius to be able to use it for navigation between screens, and for this fingerprint scanner to be as fast as it is. I also love the swiping action for predictions, since these are on spot most of the time. And then my favorite, which would be the fact that it's multilingual without the need of me to switch languages. What I don't like is more a personal thing, as I can feel kind of cramped compared to even legacy Blackberries. It is also quite mushy when pressing it compared to older units as well. In my time testing it, I have started to get used to it, but I do hope the Key 2 will take over the rest of the chin and provide us with a larger keyboard. And BlackBerry, since the technology is already capacitive, how about having it detect typing without the need to press the keys, as regaining muscle memory has been my largest learning curve. The camera is one of those stories I am glad to report on. The Key 1 sports the same IMX378 sensor that we find on the Google Pixel, and that is actually awesome. There isn't the background work that the Pixel is able to achieve with HDR+, but this device is actually a worthy contender for daylight photography in almost every scenario. The 1.55 microns on the sensor even allow this camera to perform admirably in low light, though focus can be a challenge. There is a setting to force the camera to not take the shot until focus is acquired, so you can pick your poison if you'd prefer it to take its time. Pro tip: disable HDR at night, and watch Juan's real camera review for more details. Another thing that's shocking is how well this camera stabilizes video, even without the inclusion of OIS, something which again is another very neat trick from the Pixel that's also mimicked here. And yes, this phone takes decent selfie photos, even though, again, we're not really fans of these. To conclude, I think it's important that we remember the main purpose of a communicator. Ergonomics and endurance are essential for someone that doesn't want to be carrying a battery pack around after a long day in the city, and in that respect, the BlackBerry Key 1 nails everything. There is a lot of genius behind the hardware and a lot more behind the software that powers it all. For those of you who need a phone focused on content consumption and not really communication, I can totally understand if you feel this device is not for you, because you're probably right, it's not. And if you still do want the software, but on more powerful hardware, there is the BlackBerry DTEK 60. The BlackBerry Key 1 is designed for the rest of us, who did feel nostalgic the moment we saw it for the first time. The die-hard professional in need of a work tool that's quick to react and that can last a full day and then some. To them I say the BlackBerry Key 1 is a great device for the things that matter. The fact that this phone is already running the latest version of Android is a good indication that my complaints about software will be ironed out soon. Because in absolutely everything else, this is going to be one phone I will have a hard time putting away. And while that happens, remember this is just one of many reviews to come. So make sure you follow us on social media and hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on Twitter, Jaime_Rivera, or on Instagram at Jaime Rivera. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I am Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.